Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 18 of the Big at the Back podcast. We're joined after a crazy weekend with more midweek madness coming up. I'm joined by Matthew Higgins. Matt, how are you?
Not bad, thanks. Not effervescent this week, no.
No, you're just Matt this week.
Yeah, well, it is a Monday morning, so who's effervescent on a Monday morning? But yeah, I'm not bad, thanks. It's like you say, it's a quick turnaround between game weeks this week. Festive football is in full swing, pretty much. I think West Ham, like before their game last Thursday, it was something like 33 days with 10 games, including all the European games to come and League Cup, and then obviously Christmas and New Year. So yeah, it's gonna be intense. I'm off to New York at the weekend for a few days, which will be nice. So yeah, it should be all right. West Ham play the morning after I arrive, so Ellie's going to be thrilled.
Yeah, you're going to sit in the Black Horse just drinking a Guinness, watching West Ham.
I wish. It's a 9 a.m. kickoff local time, and I have a tour of Madison Square Garden booked at 10:30. So my plan is there's the New York Hammers out there, and the bar that they go to for the games is like a 10-minute walk from Madison Square Garden. So the plan is to go there, watch the first half, and have breakfast, and then go to the tour.
You're at least going to get some of it then. But awesome. That sounds really exciting. And you could say hi to some of the guys we know over there as well. On FPL, well, football. First, let's say, what a weekend of football.
It was a mad one.
Yesterday was mad.
They definitely picked the right game in the early window to put on TV, didn't they? That finished 1-1, and then there was a 2-2, a 3-2, and a 4-3 at the same time.
Well done, Sky and BT. Done really well, Lonkers. But we have loads to speak about. So I think for this episode, as it's a quick midweek one, we will go through what happened and what we're doing next, looking at both football and FPL and seeing how that pertains to our team moving forward. So how did your week go?
Finished on 60 points, slightly above average. So I will take that just about. A slight green arrow as well, about 13k. So currently sat at 786,000, up from about 800,000. Haaland with the armband obviously outperformed Salah, which was quite good for both of us. Watkins was the big returner of the week with 11. Soufal and Tsimikas with an assist each in my defence. Saka with 8, Salah with 5, and Bamo with 5. So it was like a fairly well-rounded week. Disappointed Isak didn't get anything though after bringing him in for Alvarez, and then Alvarez of course got an assist. So it's always the way, but at least it wasn't a hat-trick like I predicted it was going to be.
Yeah, and we do know that when you bring a player in, it can take quite a few weeks for them to actually start picking up returns. It's fairly normal.
Yeah, and you look at that run of fixtures that Newcastle have got coming up, you'd like to think that him, without Wilson being in the side as well, you think he's going to get quite a few goals in the next few weeks.
If he can stay fit, which is a big question.
Big if.
Well, that sounds pretty good then. Sounds like a pretty good week. I had a very similar team to you. I ended up with 66 points. I guess the big difference between us is Trippier. I also saw a lot of people moving Watkins to Darwin as Watkins was a bit of a doubt. Now, we both said that was ridiculous and crazy, and you'd rather just hold Watkins up for the upcoming run of fixtures, even if they're tough games. Watkins does well in them. And Watkins did show it with 11 points overall. So really, really glad I've kept him. And he's not going anywhere in my team for the foreseeable future. So again, slight green arrow like you. I've got 1,300 green arrows, so up to 6,700 in the world. Bang on. However, there are so many more game weeks left to play and so much midweek madness that we should start with the weekend fixtures. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to?
I think the main thing is that City Spurs game, the last game of the weekend. It was an interesting game, to say the least. We all predicted goals, that we all knew there were going to be goals, but I don't think we quite realised where they'd all come from, with Spurs managing to somehow get 3 with their depleted team. City shooting themselves in the foot at times. They seem to really, in the second half, completely take their foot off the gas. and they let Spurs back into the game. They should have killed them off. Haaland missed 2 good chances, which was obviously disappointing for anyone that captained him, me and you included in that. But yeah, I think you've got to give Spurs and Ange a bit of credit for the way they held in there and came back into the game, having taken the lead, then gone behind twice and managing to come away with a point, which is a very good result for them.
Yeah, 1 point in 4 games for Spurs, and that came against Manchester City away. Football.
That's football for you, isn't it? And of course, it's worth mentioning as well that Son with a goal and an assist on the week, you take him out. Your week could have been so much better.
He also got an own goal, though. No player in Premier League history has managed to score at both ends that quickly.
That is, and it'll take some beating. Like it was 10 minutes. So no one's going to be beating that anytime soon, are they?
No, but really, really interesting game. I thought City were dominant for the whole game, to be honest. They really let it. This feels like one that they've let get away. Still feel like they're strong Premier League title favourites, but it makes it good for the other teams that are chasing, for the Arsenals, for the Liverpools, etc. And it gives us, hopefully, a bit of a title race as we get into the latter half of the season.
Yeah, we can only hope so. It does feel as though we've got to this position a few times in the past, and then in the new year they just go on a run, and other teams struggle to keep up with them. But hopefully, we definitely see a little bit more of a contest this year. Did we see the worst refereeing call of the season in this game though? When Haaland was fouled, he played the advantage. Haaland played it through to Grealish, who was in on goal, and then the ref blew. My mind boggled at that.
I mean, it could have been a call that they knew they got wrong and decided to keep going anyway.
Well, yeah, but in this case, VAR couldn't intervene. But what is the ref doing? There's just after the incident, it goes to Pep on the sideline, and Anthony Taylor's the 4th official standing in the background, and even he's like, "Oh my God, what has he just done?"
Horrendous. I did see Haaland swearing at the ref alert as well. So if we're following the same principles as we have for other players, it means that he should have a 1-match ban. So keep an eye on that over the next few days. But it's not like they'll only apply that rule to Liverpool players, right, Matt?
Of course not. God, you fucking scousers, I hate you. Just from a fantasy perspective with this fixture as well, it's worth noting now that after that game, Rodri is suspended for the Villa game, having picked up 5 yellow cards. And not that anyone has him in their team, but so is Jack Grealish. So that does mean that Doku is even more nailed for at least this midweek fixture.
It does mean that Villa City game is going to be really, really end-to-end. So I love Ollie Watkins in this game.
Especially with Villa's home record.
Yeah, it's going to be a really, really fascinating game. Shall we? I don't want to linger too much on Man City because we've only really got Haaland. If you've got Doku, then fair enough. But because of the blank coming up in 18, I think Haaland's the only one anyone has. Spurs, I still don't see it. From an FPL standpoint, I had Son for a while. I'm out now. Until Maddison comes back, I don't think Son is very consistent. So for me, it's Son or Saka. And given the next game is Luton, I'm picking Saka all day at the moment.
Yeah, and like you say, he blanked in 3 in a row before that. So he does tend to benefit against a team where they can counter a little bit. Games coming up, West Ham are going to sit back, so he's not going to have that room in behind. Newcastle are obviously a very good side, and that's going to be hard. And then Forest, Everton, teams that are going to sit in and try and wait for them to come onto them. So it's not going to be as easy for him to find that space in behind that he so desperately wants. You can maybe argue that Brighton after that is a decent fixture, but overall, Saka's the much better shout.
Yeah, I would think so. Shall we go to the Liverpool-Fulham game then? So the Maddie household derby. My dad is a lifelong Fulham fan and was raging. That being said, 4 goal of the season contenders from Liverpool in 1 match is pretty darn impressive.
Yeah, I'm just glad that Trent only walked away with 1 goal in the end and an assist rather than 2 goals. Because, not that many people have Trent anymore. He's not that highly owned, like you said. That
assist was chalked off.
No, it's still down there as an assist. Because the first one initially went down as his goal.
That was it, yeah.
And then, went down as a Leno own goal in the end. So he gets a goal and an assist. And yeah, it's hard to invest in a defender that costs that much when they're not going to keep any clean sheets. And Kelleher didn't cover himself in glory, did he?
He did really well midweek in the Europa League, but yeah, he had some very shaky moments. I said it on the WhatsApp. It's almost like taking the best goalkeeper in the world out of a side that aren't great defensively. It's going to affect them, and I think it really did show.
Who's the best goalkeeper in the world then? Because it ain't Alisson.
I mean, the stats all show it's Alisson, Matthew. And
stats can tell anything. There are liars, damn liars, and statistics.
And Alisson is still the best keeper in the world. So, yeah, you're right on Trent. Tsimikas is basically the same level of attacking threat and 4.7 million. So I think he's the obvious place to go. And he picked up an assist at the end as well, which was very jammy, but we'll take it.
Definitely. I mean, I'll ask you as a Liverpool fan, what do you think the likelihood of Tsimikas being rested in the in the Sheffield United game is? Gomez played over him in the Luton game. Is there likelihood that happens again? Because there's a lot of rumours circulating about that.
Unlikely. There's a good chance he comes off at about 65, 70 minutes, but this is a game that Liverpool really do need to win just to keep the momentum, and we can't afford to be resting players in the Premier League. I think Gomez will play any in the Europa League coming up, or the Carling Cup or FA Cup, but I think in the league, that's Tsimikas' spot to lose.
I like that you still refer to it as the Carling Cup.
I'm sorry. Is it the Intertoto Cup? The Wimbledon Cup. That's what it was called.
It was the Milk Cup once upon a time, well back in the day. But yeah, and there is a little bit of news this morning. Speaking of your next game against Sheffield United, it looks as though Paul Heckingbottom is going to get sacked today. So you will be facing a managerless Sheffield United that have conceded the most goals in the league. So Sheffield United to win 1-0.
I was going to say, we're all captaining Haaland. We know, captaining Salah, sorry. But we know what's going to happen, don't we? It's going to be a 0-0 or a 1-0 or something like that. But yeah, I think he only got an assist today. Mo Salah did, or yesterday, sorry. But in general, I'm not too worried. Still played really well. It's only because all 4 of our goals are amazing. Darwin missed a few chances that Salah put on plate for him as well.
Shock.
He's still the best attacking threat that Liverpool have. So I think you've got to be putting the armband on Mo Salah for the midweek.
Yeah, I think it's the logical option, isn't it? Like I say, Sheffield United conceded the most goals in the league. So it's just a no-brainer. Haaland, a City side against a fairly decent Villa side. The only issue that you've got there is that Villa high line, which they do get away with quite often. But if Haaland can make the most of that space in behind, he could have a field day.
It could be one of those situations where you're looking at Salah and Haaland, and it almost doesn't matter who you put the armband on because they're going to basically equal out anyway. You've just got to pick one and be firm with it.
And it feels like a game for City, not to get back to City again, but if they had De Bruyne with that high line, he could just be pinging passes in behind all day long.
You've got to also think as well that without Rodri, City are going to be a lot more open, so Villa are going to press a lot more.
Yeah.
However, that could leave a lot of space for Bernardo Silva to start picking those balls, and Bernardo has been sensational this season for City. So I think it's on a knife's edge.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I think if you went the whole season captaining one or the other, I bet there wouldn't be much of a difference at the end. With there, you'd have to be seriously unlucky to be completely outdone by one or the other.
Yeah, I think so for sure. Shall we talk about Manchester United, Newcastle?
Yeah, let's do it. We asked the question last week. Well, I did. Are Man United good again?
The answer is no.
I mean, let's be honest. It was more tongue-in-cheek than anything, given their run of form before that. But that being said, they took Newcastle right to the end. Newcastle were a bit wasteful. Should have had 2 or 3 in the game. And Harry Maguire with a last-minute ruled-out goal for offside, obviously correctly. But they did hang in there for quite a lot of the game, and Newcastle weren't necessarily at their best. I'm just fucking glad Trippier's free kick hit the bar and didn't go in.
That would have been so beautiful if that had gone in. But yeah, I think even though they're seriously injury depleted, Newcastle play as a team. Manchester United don't. Manchester United hadn't lost back-to-back games against Newcastle since 1972 until Eric Ten Hag. Manchester United hasn't lost 3 games in a row to Newcastle since 1922 until Eric Ten Hag. Newcastle hadn't kept 3 clean sheets in a row against Newcastle since 1897.
You can bring out all these stats as much as you want, but context is important. Throughout those instances, Newcastle weren't owned by one of the richest states in the world. So times change in football. Newcastle are now a big, big side and a big threat to like the top 6, top 4, the top 2. So it's all well and good, but I don't think you can blame Ten Hag.
I mean, you can. Like, those players should have played far better than they did. But either way, don't want to harp on too much about Man U because they're not really FPL relevant. I've got Dalot, but he was my bench this week. He's first on my bench next week as well. I think in general, though, you probably are looking to sell any Manchester United assets. And to be honest, if I had an extra transfer, I would be moving Dalot out.
I think the only reason you've got any at the moment is just cheap enablers, like a Maguire or someone like that. I mean, the next game after Chelsea, they've got 2 home games in a row, Chelsea and Bournemouth. That Bournemouth at home, maybe you'd start like a Dalot potentially. So
perhaps. I don't know. We'll come back to that. Newcastle, Nick Pope going off injured and Dubravka coming on. Now, it looks like Nick Pope has dislocated his shoulder. The last time he did that, he was out for 3 months. So I've already gone ahead and brought in Dubravka over Turner. 3.9 goalkeepers starting for Newcastle. Next game is against Everton, who take lots of shots but can't finish for love nor money. So he's going to rack up save points. For me, it feels like a bit of a no-brainer. And I've got Areola on the bench, so I'm happy to be proven wrong, and it's just a wasted transfer. At the worst case scenario, I haven't really lost anything.
Yeah, I'm looking at similar. I also, as I mentioned to you last night, the other one I'm looking at is Livramento, potentially coming in for Soufal. Soufal picked up my assist yesterday. It does feel a bit like I'll take those points and say thank you, see you later. But I've got until tomorrow to make a decision, cost depending. It feels like it's one or the other, unless I took a -4. But I'm not sure if that's really worth it at this point.
No, nor am I. Interestingly, the person most likely to increase in price at the moment is Kelleher.
That seems like out of the 2, that seems like definitely the worst decision. I know they've got Sheffield United next. Maybe it's a bit of short-sightedness, but just feel like Liverpool are, especially like you were struggling with Alisson, who was a lot of the time keeping you not in games, but he was the reason you were anywhere near keeping a clean sheet. And Kelleher just is such a downgrade.
I totally agree. Kelleher's a decent keeper, but Alisson is that higher level that anyone is a downgrade from him.
Yeah, and Newcastle have a better all-round defence. So, and you look at their fixtures as well. 4 of the next 5: Everton, Fulham, Luton, and Forest.
A word as well. Matty Cash is due a price drop tonight, by the looks of it. So if you're still holding on to Matty Cash,
if you're one of the 3 people that still have him,
then be aware that he's a price drop. So is Smith Rowe and Thiago. I don't think
big ones there.
Bring those in. But Newcastle, I've got the double defence, so I'm going with Dubravka and Trippier. Shout out to Simon Grant on my work team who has Trippier and Gordon. Gordon, who's been awesome the last few games. I still think I would quite like Isak at some point. I'm not going to be dropping Watkins. Watkins is a straight-up hold for me. But as a third striker, I could potentially end up moving things around for Isak. I think he looked good.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I've got him, so I'm quite hopeful for him over the next few games. With those fixtures coming up, he's got to be picking up something here or there. It may even be a rogue captaincy shout at some point.
Well, actually, that's an interesting perspective because in game week 18, when Manchester City blank, Liverpool play Arsenal and Newcastle find themselves away to Luton. So that's when I think it could be a very, very good captaincy shout alongside Ollie Watkins because Aston Villa are home to Sheffield United.
Yeah, it feels like a very good shout to me.
That says Spurs are home to Everton that week. Oh, that's going to be a spicy week for FPL.
It does. It always mixes things up a little bit, doesn't it? When you have to look elsewhere for the captaincy options, it's a good bit of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Where else do you want to go then? I brought in Sterling, 2 points from him. Chelsea looked quite awful against Brighton, but what did we expect? It's Chelsea.
Yeah, and Conor Gallagher getting sent off obviously didn't help matters at all. Palmer not starting, coming off the bench. Is that worth something? Is that? I think it was a bit of an injury, like a worry with a knock. So we'll see what comes out of that. Because they obviously the reason you brought Sterling, they have got a very good run of fixtures coming up.
Yeah, they do. From game week 16, as a reminder, they're all green on the fantasy football ticker, and the next game away to Man U.
Hardly a tricky one, is it?
But who knows how that game's going to go, in all honesty.
It could be 0-0, it could be 4-4, it could be anything in between.
It could indeed. I would say at the moment on FPL, the teams that you want to be buying are Chelsea and Newcastle. We've both still got a Palace defender, and since we brought our Palace defenders in, they have done nothing. The next game is Bournemouth at home, and then after that, it's horrible.
Yeah, I think it's Mitchell's staying for me for this week. Then he's out. Even if he keeps a clean sheet and gets an assist or something against Bournemouth with the fixtures they've got coming up, he is a hard sell.
I totally agree. Even if he does really well, it will be thank you for the points. Goodbye.
Yeah, definitely. Like Liverpool, City, Brighton, Chelsea, all teams that will score goals.
Yeah, 100%. Arsenal, they really took the foot off the gas this weekend, and they made it tricky for themselves. I think they got quite lucky in the end.
It's similar to City, really, in the way that they sort of got the lead and sort of almost tried to coast through to victory, and obviously Wolves got the late goal, bounced back. Yeah, just obviously you were saying before all the goalkeeping changes that you wanted to bring Raya in. I just don't feel like they're a big clean sheet merchant at the moment. Maybe the Luton game, but then it's Villa, Brighton, Liverpool, and West Ham, and it wouldn't surprise me if they don't keep a clean sheet in any of those 4 games.
Yeah, after the game week 18 against Liverpool, I'll be looking back at the Chelsea defence, but the Chelsea defence, the Arsenal defence, sorry. But you're right, I don't really see myself bringing an Arsenal defender in at the moment. I do have some money in the bank, but I could be a bit more fun with that next week.
#fun. Make fantasy fun again.
Rather than go through the rest of the games, in terms of teams we want to be buying, Newcastle and Chelsea are the 2 teams at the top of that list. Newcastle, their next 5 are great. Chelsea, after the Man U game, the 6 after that are all great. Bottom of that list, as we mentioned, are Crystal Palace. And also,
Luton.
I was actually going to say Aston Villa, but they've got 3 very tough games coming up. But then it's Sheffield United at home, then it's Man U away, then it's Burnley at home, then it's Everton away. So from 18 onwards, Villa actually start turning around again.
Yeah, and the other thing is they're 3 of their next 4 fixtures are at home, and we've spoken about how good their home record is. One's against the City team that are missing Rodri and Grealish, so you can easily see a world where Watkins gets something there. Arsenal at home, again, like I've just said about their defensive record, and then Sheffield United at home in 18, so that's a tasty one, dependent on who Sheffield United's manager is by then and if things have turned around at all, but I don't see it changing things overnight for them.
No. Let's also have a look. We could be getting a Manchester City double in game week 20. It's going to be super fun watching everyone triple captain Haaland for Sheffield United at home and Brentford at home.
Yeah, that feels a little bit. I mean, it just feels like a trap, doesn't it? We've had all these
We're going to
triple
do it
captaincy
though.
traps,
Yeah, we're going to
but
do it though.
everyone like you can't, like when you get a set of fixtures like that, you can't not do it because the potential like scoring there for someone like Haaland is so high that if you don't do it and it goes off, then it can easily tank your season.
I'm looking forward to using it on Haaland though. Like last season, I used it on Rashford. It went great. I got 20 points out of it. But yeah, using it on Haaland this season feels quite fun.
I can't remember who I used it on last season.
Rashford with me.
Was it? Was it? Yeah, I'll take you over that. The season before was Salah, and he went off as well.
Yeah.
So we've had two good triple captaincies in a row. So we do a bad one.
For sure. Well, it's normally the bench boost. I remember last season mine went pretty well, but like every other season before that, it's just been a complete trap. But yeah, if you still got the triple captaincy, I would be holding it for game week 20. And based on if that double comes in, you'd probably want to use it then. Other than that, though, what are your plans for the week?
Yeah, it's either Turner to Dubravka or Soufal to Livramento. I just don't know which one I want to go with. I'm kind of tempted by Livramento just because I think it's more of an upgrade on my immediate 11 with Soufal. I'm happy to keep Areola for another week in goal, and then if I want to make the change to Dubravka next week, I can do, which would obviously then result in me doubling up on Newcastle defence and be tripled up all round with Isak in there as well. I can't really see anything else that jumps out at me as wanting to do, but my defence is definitely my weakest point at the moment.
Yeah, I'm in quite a fortunate position where I've got no real injuries and my team is looking pretty strong. So I did move to Bravka. Mitchell is very much a last chance for him to do anything in my team, but I've also got a nice bench of Dallo, Taylor, and Archer. So I'm pretty comfortable and pretty set with my team right now. And FPL seems to be finally going right for once.
Yeah, I mean, look where you're sitting in the top 7K in the world, so definitely can't complain too much, can you?
No way down though.
Yeah, true. Yeah, there is a lot of places you can drop. So how are you lining up for this week? Bearing in mind, obviously, 7:30 on Tuesday night is the first game, so 6 o'clock deadline on Tuesday, and we have games Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Oh, I love some midweek FPL fixtures.
And I actually really like when Prime have all the fixtures because you can just and they stagger them, so you've got a 7:30 and an 8:15. So you watch the first half of one, then start on the second one, and then you've got the pick afterwards, and then obviously there's when the first one's finished, you've still got loads left on the second one. It's just great. Ellie's going to hate me by the end of this week, and then we go to New York, and she's going to kill me because I'm going to take her to watch football.
I was going to say I'm going to start a week of Amazon Prime trial just for the midweek fixtures this week. So I'm lining up Dubravka in goal, back three of Trippier, Samikas, and Mitchell. A midfield five of Sterling, Salah, Hwang, Bremo, and Saka. And then up top, Haaland and Watkins, Mo Salah with the captain's armband. First sub is Dallo, second is Taylor. Feels like a good spot to be in right now with no real injury problems or suspension problems in my team. Long may it continue.
Yeah, it's nice that I've only got one flag in my squad at the moment, which for the last couple of weeks has been at like 5 or 6. So especially going into that sort of festive fixture list, as we know, it can take its toll on players. So, but yeah, I'm currently with Areola in goal, a back three of Mitchell, Tsimikas, and Soufal. I think it's going to be Soufal becoming Livramento though. And Bamo, Saka, Bowen, and Salah with the armband. And then Watkins, Isak, and Haaland up top.
What's your thoughts on Bowen?
I don't see any reason I'm going to get rid of him anytime soon. He's playing up top at the moment with Antonio being out injured and Ings being out of favour. So I don't see any reason that he's going anywhere. Spurs potentially tricky fixture, but he has actually got quite a good record against them. And then Fulham and Wolves, the two after that, and Man United even. So he's staying for now. Maybe he will go sort of the other side of Christmas, but we'll see. Lots can change between now and then. He could score 6 goals in that time.
We'll see. Also, for the second week in a row, we didn't edit our joint team. We forgot. So we've gone ahead and made some changes now, but that got 45 points last week because it was untouched and it still had Bruno as captain.
Yeah, we fucked up a bit there. So yeah, like you say, the joint team currently sit at 950k overall. So it could be a lot worse considering we've forgotten to change it at several points. But we've made a couple of transfers this week, so it's currently sat with Areola, Gabriel, Simicas here as the back three. Mitoma, Salah, Saka, Bowen, and Gordon. Salah with the armband, and Watkins and Haaland up front. It's just worth saying that Taylor was sat on our bench with 10 points last week. So that was a bit of a killer for us.
He was on my bench as well, but he was third sub for me. On the joint team, he was first sub, and Bowen was a doubt to play, so we thought we were getting the 10 points off the bench. That would have put us just above average or just below average.
It's always the way, these things never quite work out the way you want to, though.
Live and learn, don't you? But, all still looking good. Top 1 million for a team we forgot about, still looking pretty strong.
I mean, the only way is up. Well, it's not. There's a long way down, possibly. But I think now that we've remembered to do it this week, hopefully we can continue that momentum on through Christmas.
There's an argument to say that if we just left it for the whole season, it might be all right. But we did put the captaincy on Bruno, so all right.
Yeah, no, it worked. We got away with it for a couple of weeks, but it definitely came back to bite us in the arse that week.
Yeah. Either way, going to be a really fun set of midweek fixtures. Make your changes today or tomorrow, guys, because there is little time. We're not really going to get many updates from press conferences before the deadline, so just make them now. Catch the price rises while you can. And good luck, everyone. Have a great rest of the week. You can find us on Twitter at @BigAtTheBlack.
Yeah, I'm at Higgins92. Tom is at TomMadden92. I can't believe it's fucking the 4th of December already, Tom. Christmas, here we come. At least we've got loads of football.
Oh, it's so exciting. I love Christmas. It's going to be great fun. Right. That's all, folks. Have a great week and good luck.
Bye.